1951 is our racing year, and in Grand Prix it promised to be a showdown between Alfa Romeo with their aging Alfetta 159s, driven by defending world champion Nino Farina, Juan Manuel Fangio and Felice Bonetto, and the Ferrari 375s of Alberto Ascari, José Froilán González and Luigi Villoresi. Sports car racing was going from strength to strength, with Le Mans and the Tourist Trophy featuring. We start in a wintry January with the Monte Carlo Rally.
For the road and representing all that's best in British motoring, 64 cars line up in Glasgow for the 2,000-mile rally to Monte Carlo. Many entrants anticipating a difficult journey through the Alps carry emergency equipment. And now, at 1-minute intervals, the competitors leave on the first stage of a 564-mile run via Wales to Folkestone. Smallest British car in the rally is the Ford Anglia, a tribute to this popular model. Through the night, the cars speed towards the coast in their journey of 4 days and 3 nights. And dawn finds a Humber going aboard the SS Dinard en route for Boulogne. Now one of the Austin team. First returns reveal further credit to the industry in that only one car dropped out before reaching Folkestone. Across the channel go these representatives of Britain's motoring prestige. And despite the snow and ice of the Alps, may each of them arrive at Monte Carlo in perfect time and under blue skies. And in pouring rain, cars arrive at Monte Carlo, finishing point of the 2,000-mile rally. With the announcement of the preliminary markings, British cars held 10 of the first 20 places. A Vanguard goes through braking trials, a stern test after days of continuous driving. The test, which lasted only 30 seconds, penalized many experienced drivers who made minor faults. A British Ford pilot comes through the test with flying colors, but the final result made Jean Trevaux, driving a Delahaye, rally winner for the 4th time.
An important non-championship race was the Daily Express International Trophy at Silverstone, usually featuring all the Grand Prix contenders.
It's flat out for Cobb's Corner in the heats for the Daily Express International Trophy Race. Number 1 in an Alfa Romeo is the Argentine crack Juan Fangio, who has just broken the lap record twice. Number 35 is Reg Parnell in his thin-wall special Ferrari, not bothering about records just yet. Number 2 is Farina in another Alfa, and he's smashing Fangio's new records. The final ought to be a cracker.
The first heat was won by Fangio and the second went to Farina.
But first, the production cars race, which means cars you can put your name down on the waiting list for. Here's Winterbottom's Fraser Nash passing Buckley's Bristol. Jacobs is going well in his MG, then Salvadori leads the track. Ambulance men find Salvadori suffering from a fractured skull and multiple injuries. His condition is critical.
Roy Salvadori recovered from the accident and went on to a long and successful career in Grand Prix and sports car racing. In the final, Prancing Horse honour was upheld by Reg Parnell in the Thin-Wall Special, a modified 4.5-litre Ferrari.
A freak thunderstorm hits the track as the cars get away for the final of the International Trophy. Reg Parnell jumps into the lead as they head for Stowe Corner. Conditions are very bad and there'll be no records broken this time. Racing is now impossible. The cars are signaled to stop. And as he pulls into the pits, Reg Parnell learns he's declared the trophy winner. No wonder he's smiling.
Conditions were no better for the Swiss Grand Prix at Bern. Fangio led throughout. Ferrari's Piero Taruffi was second and Nino Farina was third. Lee Wallard won the Indianapolis 500, a race dominated by Curtis Craft chassis and Offenhauser engines.
For the first time, 1949, the British Empire Trophy Race, watched by the Lieutenant Governor of the Isle of Man, was for sports cars only. 25 competitors in the handicap, and the starters flag sends them off over 136 testing miles. The 4-mile course, in and around Douglas, has to be negotiated 35 times. Yes, those bends are pretty tricky till you get used to them. Then all you have to worry about is your place in the handicap. Or is it? This is one time when you ignore the highway code, you'll put your foot down and keep it there. With cars flashing around like this, it's no wonder the island's cats have no tails. Winner was 21-year-old Stirling Moss, driving a Fraser Nash at an average of 67 miles an hour. A sterling performance from the Moss who gathered the Empire Trophy.
At the Belgian Grand Prix, Nino Farina was in tremendous form. He took the lead from Luigi Villarese's Ferrari on the first lap and pulled away. Fangio dropped back when a wheel seized at his first pit stop. Ascari couldn't catch Farina on this fast and dangerous circuit and had to settle for second with Villarese third. In 1951, Jaguar presented 3 brand new C or competition types. They were untried and making their debut in the most important sports car race in the world. Practice showed that the C-type was on the pace, the dent on Stirling Moss's car the result of hitting a slower car during night practice. Teams prepared for the race away from the circuit, in private garages, or in Aston Martin's case, the grounds of a rented chateau. The city of Le Mans was fully involved in the build-up. Sports car manufacturers were looking for success with export markets in mind as Europe recovered from the devastation of the Second World War. French spectators arrived in their thousands, hoping for another Talbot victory. Ferrari had won in 1949, Talbot in 1950, and the growing importance of the race could be gauged by the American racing invasion into France. Juan Manuel Fangio and Froilán González were driving the 4.5-litre Talbots. Ferrari was strongly represented. Reg Parnell led the Aston Martin team, and Briggs Cunningham arrived with 3 cars from America. Allard, third in 1950, now had American Cadillac V8 engines. At the start, the largest capacity cars headed the field, the 3 white Cunninghams easy to spot. The Talbots speed through, followed by Jaguars and Aston Martins. In the early stages, the Jaguars were prominent, with Stirling Moss building up an impressive lead, breaking the lap record time after time. MG entered this car, a forerunner to the MGA. Moss was sent out as the hare, daring others to take him on, while the rest of the team tried a more cautious approach. No one could stay with the Jaguars, the Talbots blowing up as they attempted to match the pace of the Coventry cars. But the Jaguars had troubles of their own. An oil pressure problem caused 2 of their cars to retire before the halfway point. That left the Peter Walker-Peter Whitehead car as the only remaining C-type. Peter Walker had been racing since the 1930s, as had his cousin Peter Whitehead. Whitehead was the most experienced British Grand Prix driver at the time. He drove a Ferrari 125 in a number of Grand Prix, winning in Czechoslovakia. Cunningham followed by Allard early on Sunday morning. The standard XK120 entered by Lorry and Waller went on to finish 11th. Aston Martin was sure of winning the prestigious Index of Performance and the lucrative team prize. Drivers had to help with the pit stops. Eric Thompson climbs aboard the Aston as the Lorry XK120 Jaguar goes out. All eyes by now were on the remaining Jaguar C-type, driven by Walker and Whitehead. Into the pits for a scheduled stop comes Peter Walker. The Herefordshire farmer climbs out, and while the car is refueled, he's replaced by Peter Whitehead. The distinctive twin-cam engine with its twin SU carburetors. Whitehead tries to get the car into gear, eventually succeeds and goes back into the race. The final stages of Le Mans, with Jaguar heading towards victory. The win was important for the British motor industry internationally, as well as for Jaguar's reputation. Pierre Meyrat and Guy Maires repeated their runners-up place of the previous year in the Talbot. Aston Martin was becoming a force in sports car racing too. The Aston Martin DB2 of Lance Macklin and Eric Thompson was third. Competition manager Raymond Lofty, England, walks towards the presentation. The biggest celebrations of all for the C-type Jaguar driven by Peter Whitehead with Peter Walker. A delighted Jaguar boss William Lyons greets his drivers. Round 4 of the World Drivers' Championship was the French Grand Prix in the Champagne district of Reims. Alberto Ascari and new Ferrari driver José Froilán González took the battle to the Alfetas. Ascari led for the first 9 laps, until his rear axle gave up, probably as a result of accelerating strongly away from the hairpin. Fangio lasted only 2 laps longer before his engine failed. That left Farina in the lead from Fagioli and González. At the first pit stop, Fangio took over Fagioli's car and Ascari González's Ferrari. Driver swaps were allowed in those days. At the second pit stop, Ascari took the lead, but had to stop again to have his brakes adjusted. That allowed Fangio to take the win, shared with Luigi Fagioli, who at 53 is the oldest Grand Prix winner. However, Fagioli quit Grand Prix racing immediately. Ascari finished second. Farina's engine misfired, and he finished 5th. The Silverstone crowds waited to see if Ferrari could at last beat Alfa Romeo. BRM made one of their rare appearances, although they missed practice. Ferrari's Froilán González caused a sensation and banner headlines in the Daily Express newspaper when he set the first 100 miles an hour lap in practice. González and Ascari were confident about their chances. González swept into the lead, charging around the circuit in immense power slides and pulled out a 5-second advantage over Fangio. Farina, Villaresi and Ascari battled it out for third. Fangio was driving with tremendous purpose. He passed González to lead by a length until he lost it to González again at the pit stops. The Alfas required extra stops due to their greater fuel use. As his fuel load lightened, González pulled out a considerable lead. He was now leading Fangio by over a minute. Farina retired his car after it caught fire caused by a seized clutch. After starting from the back of the grid, the BRMs driven by Reg Parnell and Peter Walker were running reliably, but the drivers were being fried, their feet badly burnt by heat from the 16-cylinder engine. Fangio moved back up to second, but try as he might, he couldn't catch the Ferrari, with Luigi Villaresi third, Felice Bonetto fourth, and Reg Parnell fifth. A delighted González won from Fangio, Ferrari's first World Championship win. As the first British driver home, Reg Parnell joined González, Fangio and Villaresi on the podium. A fortnight later, it was the German Grand Prix on the formidable Nürburgring. Ascari was fastest in practice from González, with Fangio third. From the start, Fangio fought it out with Ascari and González. Both passed Fangio when he stopped for fuel. Nino Farina retired with gearbox trouble. Fangio fought back to retake the lead before having to make his second stop. When he returned to the fray, he had gearbox problems. The Alfa was stuck in top gear. Victory went to Alberto Ascari, with Fangio second and González third. Fangio now led the World Championship on 27 points, from Ascari on 17, with Farina and González both on 15. For the Italian Grand Prix, Alfa entered 4 cars: Fangio, Farina, Bonetto and Emmanuel de Graffenried. Ferrari had 5 cars for Ascari, Villaresi, González and Taruffi, and an earlier model for Brazilian privateer Chico Landi. Ascari, Fangio and Farina fought out the opening laps. Fangio was 34 seconds ahead of Ascari after 12 laps, but lost a tyre tread and he pitted. Then Fangio's engine started to sound rough and he retired at half distance. Farina took over Bonetto's car and cut into González's second place. Ascari motored on but was flustered at this pit stop. General pandemonium, and Ascari left the pits with the refueling hose spraying fuel everywhere. All of Farina's good work was lost by a slow pit stop, losing a minute and a half. Farina caught González, only to have to stop once more with a split fuel tank. A weary Alberto Ascari won for Ferrari, followed by González and Villaresi, with a disappointed Farina third. The Spanish Grand Prix would decide the championship. The next major sports car race was the Tourist Trophy at the sweeping road circuit in Dundrod in Ulster. Ferrari was represented with privately entered 166s. Allard used Cadillac and Chrysler engines. MG with Leicester chassised cars, driven by JCC Mayers. Jowett had entered 3 of their unusual front-wheel drive Jupiters. The DB3 Aston Martin was making its debut, with Lance Macklin limping after injuries he received in a Formula 2 race a few weeks before. The start, and the small-capacity Jupiters lined up at the head of the field. This was the reverse of Le Mans procedure. MG TDs go through, and the Jaguars, an XK120 among the 3 C-types. The Tourist Trophy was first run on the Isle of Man in 1905, but had had a long and interrupted history ever since. Aston Martin's DB3 fell by the wayside, although it did show some speed. It was a disappointment for Aston Martin that they couldn't run with the Jaguar. The Allards also retired. Among their drivers was the promising Peter Collins. Following their win in the British Empire Trophy, Fraser Nash was doing well in the small capacity class. Stirling Moss, in his favourite number 7, raced on towards victory, his second Tourist Trophy win in a row. Jaguar first, second and third in the over 3-litre class, ending a remarkable season for the Coventry manufacturer. The World Championship was to be decided at the last round, the Spanish Grand Prix. Alfa Romeo led Ferrari to believe that their cars had extra tanks and were not going to pit for fuel. Ferrari was taken in by this strategy and made the mistake of reducing their tyre size. That caused excessive wheel spin and eventually thrown tyre treads. When Ascari came around on lap 1 in the lead, everything looked set fair for Ferrari. If the cars could lead on speed with full fuel tanks, then the Alfas appeared to be beaten. Fangio hadn't read the script, passed González and chased Ascari. All the Ferrari drivers were afflicted with tyre problems. This time, it was Ascari's tyres which cried enough. Only González made any real impact. He passed Farina for second, but he was unable to catch Fangio, who won the race and the 1951 World Championship. Farina was third, with Ascari fourth, 2 laps down. Later, González was heard to say, "I'm satisfied to finish second. Fangio is the master." So Juan Manuel Fangio, the former mechanic from Valcarce, was crowned the world champion with 31 points from Ascari on 25 and González on 24. And with that, Alfa Romeo retired from Grand Prix racing. Now, who would take on Ferrari in 1952?